Cade Horton getting yanked. Drew Pomerantz looks like he is coming in for the Cubs. This inning started off with a Bryce Terang solo home run for the Brewers. They were up 1-0, bases loaded, a couple of outs. And we will have to see how this plays for the Brewers here going forward. It's not a bad thing that they get Cade Horton out of this game in the third, considering it's a doubleheader today. Now, again, word has it out of the people down in Chicago that there is a belief that this second game probably is not going to happen tonight. Now, who knows? Weather changes, right? Weathermen, weather ladies are wrong all the time. So we'll see what happens. I can tell you, being here at Hales Corners, it is pouring outside right now where we are. So, even if tonight's game doesn't happen, they're going to have to make this up one of these other days, whether it's a day-night doubleheader and that comes up tomorrow, if that's a day-night doubleheader and that comes up on Wednesday or on Thursday. But this bullpen for the Cubs, to be getting to that bullpen here in the third inning is absolutely looking forward to getting Ryan's thoughts on the Packer preseason game from over the weekend, his thoughts on practice from today as well. So he joins us at 3:20. Plus, we'll hear from Adam Stenovich, Packers offensive coordinator. He talked a little bit yesterday. We'll play some of those clips back for you from yesterday. Interesting conversation going on right now about that Packers left tackle position that we definitely have to talk about. We'll do that coming up at 2:40. First, let's start off talking about what happened over the weekend. And I know the Brewers game is going on, and I'm well aware of the Brewers game going on. However, I do want to just quickly talk about this because by the time the Brewer game is done, we're going to talk about the Brewers game at 4 o'clock more so than this weekend. The run that this team has been on is absolutely crazy. It's completely next level nuts, I guess would be the best way to explain it. I mean, going back to even Saturday night, this play right here Saturday night.
On the ground to second, one. First, no, gets by Steer. Here comes Terang, and this game is tied. Ellie De La Cruz wound up and fired a dart that got by Steer, and the Brewers tied the game.
Okay, so you could say as an opposing fan, boy, that was lucky, Sparky. Boy, that was lucky. There's no way that the Brewers should have been able to pull that off. Okay, well, this is the thing. De La Cruz got that ball, looked up, and saw what? That Sal Frelick was about to get to second. He rushed the throw because of Sal Frelick's speed. So again, we could talk about luck or we could talk about making your own luck, right? Putting the ball in play, forcing a guy to make a play. And then when there's errors that are made, it's like, wow, the Brewers are so lucky. Sure. But everybody makes errors in baseball. But when you put pressure on the opposing team, the way the Brewers do with the speed that they have across the board outside of Andrew Vaughn, a simple ground ball, you still have to make a good throw because if you take your time, a majority of these guys could very well beat it out. So now you're having to make sure you pick and throw and now trying to turn a double play. That becomes an even harder deal, especially in a pressure situation trying to end a baseball game. It is such a credit to the Brewers, to the front office for putting this roster together the way they did and getting something out of it the way they are. Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, who we've talked about several times last week on this show. Charlie Usen off today, by the way. Again, like I said, Jack Pembroke is producing. But when you are talking about making that type of play, again, right there was a ground ball by Perkins with the bases loaded. And he hits a ground ball to third base. It was a routine ground ball, and they threw Perkins out. But it was closer than it probably would have been against anybody else of average speed because Perkins was hustling his butt down the line. So still 1-0 Brewers on the home run by Terang. But my point is, Rosenthal writes this piece. And in this piece for Rosenthal, he talks about how much better the Brewers are than a majority of baseball as far as putting balls into play. And he talks about offensive regression, right? Batting average with balls put into play. That before this streak started in the middle end of May, they were 11 points lower than everybody else. Now they're hitting like 320 with balls put into play. And then at some point, maybe this will come backwards here and they won't have as good of numbers. Okay, fine, maybe. Taking the extra base, they're among the best in taking the extra base. Strikeout percentage, they're the best, they're among the best in strikeout percentage, way better than they were last year at this point. You can look through different stat categories and point to why this Brewers team is as good as they are, based, if nothing else, just on this year's numbers versus last year's numbers. And even in this piece that Rosenthal wrote for The Athletic, there is a rival official. Now, could that be the trader? Could that be whoever? I don't know who it is. But a rival official who says, still not buying the Brewers. I don't care about this streak. They get to the postseason. That'll be the end of it. And none of this will matter at the end of the day. Well, okay. Very well could be. They could go to the postseason, get beat again, and then if the conversation is going to continue to be had, which it always is, which is same old Brewers. You play well in the regular season, you get to the postseason, and you get beat. But I'm telling you right now, from a fan perspective, man, just enjoy this. Just enjoy this. If we get our heart broken for the 5 millionth time by this organization, then we get our heart beat for the 5 millionth time by this organization. But don't go looking for reasons to be mad. Having said that, I was really mad yesterday. Oh, man. I was yelling at my buddy on the phone, swearing at him. Got done. I was just livid. Then I was texting with Tommy. I was getting mad at him. Not mad at him per se, but just about the situation. When I saw that lineup come out yesterday from the Milwaukee Brewers, and I saw Monasterio at the leadoff position, I lost my mind. And Murphy has done this with Sunday lineups before, where Pat Murphy goes, I don't care if we lose today. I got to get my guys rested for the upcoming week, so I'm just going to throw out some crappy lineup and see what happens. And I've complained on it on social media before about it. And then they score 8 runs. Everybody's like, see, Sparky? See, he knows what he's doing. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to complain on social media, but I'm going to complain to everybody that I know about how much I hate this lineup. Then you put yourself into a position, and I don't think this got asked. If it did, I missed it. So let's say Grant Anderson, by some miracle of God, got out of that inning yesterday afternoon, right? What was the next move? Jake Bauers? Was he pitching next? Because they had no pitching. If you had any pitching, Grant Anderson is not out there for that second inning of work. So when Grant Anderson went out there, I was like, well, here we go. And Tommy Wirtz, he's saying to me like, oh, I should have went to Jake Bauers. I was like, I'm guessing Jake Bauers was the next pitching guy to go out there because clearly their pitching was torched. And part of the reason why this was such a big deal was they're playing the Cubs. Right. Here's your chance to bury the Cubs. 5 games in 4 days. I want to make sure my staff is rested. I have no off days. So this is how we're going to rest everybody and sit everybody, is doing it this way. We're going to sacrifice the winning streak, sacrifice the win. I mean, my God, Abbott absolutely owned the Brewers for a majority of that game. And then William Contreras with a 2-run jack to put them up at that point. And everybody and their mama thought it was over at that point when he got a hold of that ball.
Fly ball, deep left center field. It is gone! Come on! William Contreras, a 2-run bomb. The Brewers have the lead. This team is unreal.
Interesting that during the game, I was outside cutting the grass because it was cooler out Sunday than Saturday. So I was outside cutting the grass. I was listening to the radio broadcast. And the Brewers are down 1-0. And I'm listening to the broadcast team talk about the Brewers being down. And they start having this conversation about, well, you know darn right well that once the Brewers get a runner on base, the Reds fan base is going to be like, oh no, here we go again. It's going to go downhill again. Here we go again. And I was thinking to myself, man, like, I'm superstitious for sure, right? No question. But it felt like we were like overly confident, kind of as we were getting towards the end of this thing. We're getting 11, 12, 13, 14. It felt like Brewers fans in general, like, we'll come back and win. We'll figure it out. We're going to beat them one way or the other. We're going to beat them. I was like, man, I don't know. And then John Boy Media, who, again, popular social media account, they tweet out the Contreras home run, and they're like, Brewers do it again. I was like, Brewers did what again? It's not over. They got to get 3 outs. It ain't over yet. Yes, they got the lead, but it ain't over. And then when Grant Anderson gets trotted out there, the immediate response was, Tobias Myers? Anybody? Why didn't you just let him pitch the third? And then if he couldn't figure it out, then go get Grant Anderson if need be. People forget, just a couple of days ago, they sent that dude back to AAA and then had to call him back up with the injury. But, yeah, that game yesterday was, we're good losing it. That's fine. Until Contreras gave you the lead and you had no pitching left. And then you ended up losing the game. And now here you are in a series that I will argue is bigger for the Chicago Cubs than it is for the Milwaukee Brewers. It's bigger for the Cubs. The Brewers, yes, they can bring them, they can bury them, right? Absolutely. But even if the Cubs swept them, Brewers are still up by a full series in this thing, still up by 3 games, even if they got to that point. Now, the Brewers, on the other hand, are looking at this going, hey, man, I mean, if we walk out of this series up 11 games with what's left, it's over.
You're playing with house money.
Yeah, it's all done, Jack. It's all done. Season over. The division is theirs. Then you're talking about looking at the Dodgers, the Padres, the Phillies, and seeing if you can hold the lead for the 1 seed going into the postseason. That becomes the next goal for the Brewers. First win your division, then look to see the best seeding you can get at that point. Right now, they're sitting in the 1 seed, and they have a comfortable lead in both the 1 seed, they're a comfortable lead, and in the division.
Can you imagine the city if we lock in a first place?
Nobody's
home field advantage.
I'm just telling you right now, man. There is going to be a large section of people are going to be like, it's not going to matter. They'll screw it up anyhow. This is the thing. If you go in as the 1 seed, my only request is just don't lose the first set of games that you're going to play in the division round. At least get to the NLCS. If you're going to lose, please at least get to the NLCS. Obviously, I want the damn World Series, as does everybody else. But I can't. My heart ain't going to be able to take another. We get in and we lose and we go home and we don't advance again.
Just survive and advance at this point.
Just win a series, man. Win a series. And then let's move forward. And you're going to get to buy the wild card round, which is beautiful. Everybody's going to get to be fresh. The bullpen's going to get to be fresh. Legs are going to be a little bit fresher for the position players because everybody's dinged up by this point of the year. Like, the Brewers are going to have themselves in a very good position. Now, again, you have to stay healthy. The other part about this is, dude, they did all this without their best player in Jackson Chourio. They did all this without Chourio. When Chourio went down, we were all like, oh boy, well, somebody's going to have to step up and do something. And Andrew Vaughn doesn't slow down. They took 2 out of 3 this weekend without Isaac Collins in the lineup because he was in Denver having a kid. I mean, they didn't have Perkins for the first 2. And they get Perkins back yesterday. Baroa. Nobody knew who the hell Baroa was until Friday on the air. We were researching Baroa, and we're like, oh, another short guy that runs fast. Of course. That's what it was. And Frelick, he wasn't playing yesterday. He was like the last guy left. They were trying to give him a day off, I'm assuming, to try and rest that hamstring. And now he's back in the lineup again today. So this whole thing truly has been quite amazing to this point as far as how good they've been and for how long they've been this good. Or how great they've been, not even good. How great they've been and for how long it's been at this point. Wouldn't it be great? Just amazing. to host World Series games at American Family Field. I mean, we went through an NBA Finals, and that was popping. But with all due respect to the Milwaukee Bucks, they are not a statewide team. They're better. They're better now than they were before. Absolutely. This Brewers team, statewide team. This team, you will have busloads of people coming down here to party. Maybe not even go to the game. Just get in a hotel, go to Deers District. If they're smart, they're going to have the games on. Go to Deers District, watch the games if they can't get in. It's going to be packed.
It's going to be so good for the arts, entertainment, and beer industry.
Of course, that's where you go, being a former bartender. Yeah. So how good is it going to be?
Those tips are going to be really good. Like, you could easily work 4 hours during a game and probably get tipped out $400 if that many people are watching and, sipping on some adult beverages.
Did you see the news that Mecca Sports Bar and Grill done?
What?
Down at the Deer. You didn't see the news?
No, I did not.
Yeah, they are.
That's wild.
Set to be done. Don't worry. Do not worry, because another sports bar is going in there called Tom's Watch Bar. Looks like that is going to be the new bar going in. It is a chain. They have them all over the country already. They like to be near stadiums or arenas, and it is all sports. It looks like there might be some music venue like kind of tied into it, where they have local bands maybe, but for the most part, it is all sports. And if you even go on their website or onto the different websites of the different cities, like, it gives you the slate of games, gives you all this stuff. Like, it really feels like the people working at that place, when they get it redone and reopened, will be focused completely on sports. So we'll see if the relaunch can get that thing going. Because if we're being honest, that place has not been all that busy on nights when I've gone in there at all.
Except when we did an event there for March Madness. That's the only time I've seen it that
because you had
busy.
the people.
Yeah.
But if you just went in there on a Saturday night,
dead.
In the summer, we were down there on a Saturday night. There was literally not a customer in the place on a Saturday night. It was like 8 o'clock maybe on a Saturday night. Walked in, we're like, there's nobody here.
And it's a great venue.
It's an amazing venue. Until the Potawatomi Sportsbook showed up, that was the best place to go watch games.
Yep.
I used to do green and gold parties there. The first year they opened, I did the green and gold parties there. And after the first year, they were like, we got it. We're good. Okay. But again, it just, I don't know. It lost its way along the way. And I'm anxious to see this new place, Tom's Watch Bar, come in and take that over and really make a go of it at this point. All right, coming up in the next segment, I want to talk about the Packers, what happened yesterday with the Packers as well. We were going to do Brewers and Packers this segment. We didn't get to the Packers. So I want to recap what happened in the Packers game over the weekend. We'll get to hear from Adam Stenovich, Packers offensive coordinator, coming up at 2:40 as well. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Time now for your fan weather forecast, and it is raining and storming and all of that fun stuff. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. 74 degrees right now, low of 68.
And here goes the handoff, and this is Johnson backpedaling, digging, scores! What a play! The Packers have come back from 13-0 down to tie it at 16 and possibly take a lead. 9-yard touchdown run. Amar Johnson, 2 games, 2 touchdown runs for the rookie free agent.
Can we just talk about how spoiled we are to have Harlan calling our preseason games? Like, do you have any idea of how spoiled we are to having him calling our games? Like, it is just crazy. Brian Anderson on Brewer games, Harlan doing preseason football for the Packers with John Kuhn. Like, my goodness gracious, just spoiled to high heaven on that whole deal. So Amar Johnson, you heard there. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky here, Jack Pembroke over there filling in for Charlie Houston. Charlie's just going to miss one day. He'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, Potawatomi Sportsbook, fantasy football players, they're looking for you to have your drafts at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 6,500 square feet, that second level is all for you, right? And I talked about it before. That second level, you can have parties, anniversaries, business luncheons, dinners, whatever. You can rent it out, whatever you want to do with it. It's got its own private elevator. So 14-team or less fantasy football leagues invited to have their fantasy football drafts at the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the second level. Now, having said that, what do you get? Well, you're each going to have to pay a little bit of a fee to get in for your league. But you get a smorgasbord of food for everybody to eat. You each get 3 drink tickets. You get a podium that you can stand up and announce your picks at. You get the board, the poster board, all the stickers for all the players to put up there. And you're looking straight out at their 2,000 square foot center TV screen that can show over 30 games at one time at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm telling you, just do it one time, and you will be talking about it forever, about that was the coolest draft we've ever had and was completely worth the money we spent. It will be amazing. Check them out today. Go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook, Potawatomi.com/sportsbook to get more information there on the fantasy football draft party that you can have there on the second level at the Sportsbook. All right, so the Green Bay Packers over the weekend. No Jordan Love over the weekend. Now, they did say that Jordan Love is going to practice here at some point this week. I do not think he'll play against Seattle, but it does appear that he is going to play in week 1. Plus, they were without a handful of wide receivers as well. So you had Malik Willis out there doing his best kind of with what he had in that game. I said on Friday, how funny would it be if come Monday, Malik Willis is traded to the Colts to be their starting quarterback over Daniel Jones or over Anthony Richardson if Malik Willis really played well in that game. Malik Willis really didn't play great in that game. Not enough to convince anybody that he should be starting over Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson at this point. Having said that, I feel good with what we have in Malik Willis if he's going to be the backup quarterback going forward. What I don't feel good in is Marshawn Lloyd and what he exactly is going to provide the Green Bay Packers, because Marshawn Lloyd hurt again after a nice catch and run, hurt again with what appears to be a hamstring. But other guys are stepping up. Amar Johnson with a couple touchdowns. Izzy gets one.
Here's El Gersma, 3rd down and goal. Ibani Conda, the back, and the call, and the cut, and the drive, and did he get in? Yes, he did. Touchdown. Hard work carving his way. Machete's in for 6. 3-yard touchdown run and a good-looking drive by the quarterback through the air. And Israel Ibani-Conda with his running 38 yards on that drive.
So you've got him, you've got Amar Johnson. You're hoping Wilson can stay healthy and continue to give you something. He showed you flashes last year of how good he really can be if he's going to be the backup for Josh Jacobs again. The other thing is Brian Robinson apparently is on the trade market too. Now, I don't know whether or not the Packers would have interest in Brian Robinson or not, but if you're giving up hope on Marshawn Lloyd because of his lack of availability, we're only in the second year of this kid. But if you're already at that point, I don't know, maybe it's something to consider. Because if Josh Jacobs goes down, and if you don't have a reliable backup running back, can you continue to run the style of offense that you want to run if you don't have a good running back? Or would you have to scrap the run-first approach that you showed last year and go to more of a pass-first approach, kind of like it was with Rodgers and Favre, and ask Jordan Love to wing it all over the field? That's why that backup running position, I think, is a little bit more of a spotlight-type position for this Packers team right now to make sure you're protected in case something goes down with Josh Jacobs. And as I've stated before, I think he's going to get 50 to 75 less carries this year than he did last year. Fully believe that's going to be something that will occur. You heard Elgersma there on that highlight. Now that kid, that one I'm impressed by. Elgersma looks good. I like what I've seen from him. And I know he's going to have to beat out Sean Clifford. And they're not going to keep Clifford and Elgersma both on the practice squad. I can't imagine. So I don't know how realistic it is that he's actually going to be on the practice squad. But I like him a lot. And Sean Clifford, he got himself into the end zone as well.
Amari Johnson, the rookie out of South Dakota State, will get the fake. Clifford, and for the lead, got it! Sean Clifford in his only appearance in his only drive of the afternoon, leading him 68 yards and caps it off with an 11-yard touchdown run to give Green Bay their first lead today.
I think they really like Sean Clifford. I don't think they want to go away from Sean Clifford as well at this point. So I think they're going to stay with Sean Clifford, and Elgersma probably will either end up somewhere else on a practice squad or whatever. But I think Elgersma could be a backup quarterback in this league. I do. The Brewers are in some trouble here. Freddie Peralta, after getting the first out, has walked 3 straight. They are now loaded with 1 out for the Cubs, and definitely some trouble here. Now, again, when they're loaded, you can get yourself a double play and get yourself right out of the inning if you get to that point. The rookie, Casey, is that how you say his name? Is up to bat for the Chicago Cubs right now. He's 0 for 1 on the day. So the rookie put into a big spot in just his 3rd Major League Baseball game against the Brewers. So we'll see how that goes for Owen Casey. The other part about this for the Green Bay Packers, when looking at what's going on there, is the offensive line. Because yet again, no Rasheed Walker in this game. So Jordan Morgan gets to play at the left tackle position. And if we're being honest, Jordan Morgan held up fine. He didn't have any huge blunders or huge mistakes where you're like, oh, man, what is going on? Now, the same cannot be said for the Escalade, Mr. Belton. Woo! That first half was about as bad of a first half as you could possibly have, Jack Pembroke.
I was feeling for him as he was walking off and starting to get yelled at by LaFleur.
He yelled at him, too. Yeah.
No, it was like a father yelling at a young child for continually spilling milk at the dinner table. And it probably was way worse in the locker room.
The thing about that is you don't see him really lose his cool on anybody on the sidelines. Nope. I mean, once in a while you'll see him get mad at somebody for doing the same thing multiple times. But this is a situation where, Matt, it's a preseason game, man. You aren't in the NFC Championship game. This isn't a rival game against the Lions in week 1 where this might decide the division later if you lose the first game. This is a second preseason game, and he was losing his mind. And the only reason I can think of why he would be losing his mind, and this is a guess. We're going to talk with Ryan Wood more about this at 3:20. But the only reason I can possibly think of why this would be the case is if this type of stuff was happening in training camp and he's been on him, and now you get to the game and you're doing the same thing that you've been doing in camp, and I've been on you about it then too, and you just lose it on the guy.
He went postal.
Maybe
not that bad.
I don't like that term, but either way, from that perspective, Peralta with a big strikeout there. That should have been ball 4. He should have walked 4 straight. The dude chased the ball out of the end zone or out of the zone. So not 2 outs for Peralta. I'm gonna keep you updated on this Brewers game. So even if you're not watching the game, I'll keep you updated while we're talking here about other things. With Belton, he comes back out in the second half and plays a lot better. Now, again, this is the second-round pick. Now, the discussion is he a tackle? Is he a guard? Where does he fit on the line? Well, he's not going to fit on the line this year, right? He's not going to get in there and supplant Ryan. He's not going to supplant Zach Tom or Rasheed Walker. He's not going to supplant Banks, I don't think. So he's going to be a swing guy that's going to come in case there's an injury. But that doesn't mean that you still can't or shouldn't have him coached up ready to come in and play, because there are injuries in the NFL. These guys are always getting hurt in the National Football League. Very rarely does an offensive line stay healthy for an entire season.
No.
So even if you're not starting week 1 against the Lions, Jack, does not mean that you won't find a place for yourself to play at some point during the season.
He was, he came in as an athlete that they said they were going to find a position for. I think let's see mid-season if he does find a position on the line.
He's a big dude, man.
He is.
335, 340. He's got some good feet, they say.
He is a truck.
Yes, and I'm not a big fan of the tackle idea with him. I'm more of a big fan of him playing the guard position next to Zach Tom. Let him be the right guard. And then you have Jenkins, Belton, and Tom on the right side, and let him just push people up. And then the other way, it's Jenkins, it's Banks, and then Morgan, because that appears to be the way they're leaning, on the left side. And then hopefully you have people movers like Philadelphia has, because I think, as we stated right around the draft, that appears to be, the deal here of what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's
look
where
at
the
that.
league's going.
Nico Horner flies out to Freelick, and somehow or another, bases loaded and one out after walking 3 dudes. Peralta gets out of it, comes still with only 1 hit after 4, and the Brewers up 1-0. I'm going to sidetrack before we get to a break here. That right there is why people get frustrated with that dude. That right there is why people are like, dude, he's not a real one. Because his pitch count now went from very good to like 32 pitches, 33 pitches, whatever it was, to now it's sky high after walking 3 straight guys and everything else. So now instead of getting, 7 innings out of him, which he's only gotten through 6 twice, I think, this year, but instead of getting to 7, now you're going to be talking about getting through 5 with Freddie again, and then having to get up the bullpen and having to pitch 3 or 4 guys in this game to get out of this game.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to what you're saying about adding people to the Reds game and deleting and adding a JV squad.
I don't. Again, I mean, you got the benefit for yourself when Horton leaves in the 3rd, and then Peralta follows that up with a long inning himself and barely got himself out of it. I mean, he gets props for getting out of it. Fine. But still, man, raising that pitch count, and again, it's going to be another short outing. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky Fifer here. Our guy Jack Pembroke, other side of the glass, filling in for Charlie Usen. And coming up next, we're going to hear from Adam Stenovich, Packers offensive coordinator. He gets into talking about that left tackle position, and I have thoughts on that. Plus, we'll get our green and gold update with Ryan Wood coming up at 3:20. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Brewers add another one in the fifth. Caleb Durbin with a solo home run. 2-0. Home runs by Terang and Durbin as they are up 2-0 at Wrigley in the fifth inning. Brewers doing their thing. The Meal of Misfortune, devised by Wednesday Adams, is available now at Wendy's, where you must surrender to your fate. Comes with rest in 10-piece nugs, small cursed and crispy fries, and a small Raven's Blood Frosty. And, of course, 2 of 4 mysterious dips of dread to up the torment. In Wednesday's words, it's pure torture and tribute to the suffering that awaits us all from the dips of dread. And the best part is you never know what you'll get. Each uniquely insufferable in its own torturous way. It's got to be Wendy's. Watch Wednesday Season 2 only on Netflix. Available for limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's while supplies last. Let's hear from Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich, who talked yesterday. The coordinators talked yesterday, as did Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur might have spoken yesterday too, but the coordinators definitely talked yesterday. This is Adam Stenavich, Packers offensive coordinator, yesterday.
I think we're doing it right now. With kind of how we rep guys and move them around and stuff, I think everyone's kind of used to playing with each other. So you always, if you can get your starting 5 out there and they're your guys, then that's great. But usually throughout an NFL season, you kind of have to move guys around at times. So, yeah, I mean, we still have competition open right now, and I'm okay with that until someone grabs the job.
Stop there. I'm going to stop this as we go, so you're not just going to listen to the press conference. This is the thing. The Bears just said earlier, or at the end of last week, prior to the Bears looking really good last night, by the way, Caleb Williams played well. Batchin played even better than Williams, the backup quarterback. And the Bears were under scrutiny because Ben Johnson said, I don't know who my left tackle is. I waited for somebody to take the job, right? That was the line of thinking from the Bears. And Bears are getting publicly ripped for not knowing who their left tackle is at this point going into the second preseason game. The Packers should not be in the same situation as the Chicago Bears. You've had a starting left tackle for the last several years. That is fine. There's no reason to move on. The only reason to move on is so you don't have to pay this cat in the offseason, and you took a guy in the first round looking ahead so you didn't have to pay a lot of money to Rasheed Walker at left tackle. That's the only reason you're in this situation right now. So this whole idea of, wow, we'll rotate guys in and this stuff. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. And sometimes maybe you don't think I know what I'm talking about. This is something the Green Bay Packers have done under Matt LaFleur. And it drives me nuts. Okay? I don't like rotating offensive linemen. You play this possession. Okay, now you play this next series. All right, and you're back in here for this next series. You can tell me all you'd like, Adam Stenavich, that these guys are used to this being this way and so forth. That is not how you get a finely tuned offensive line to play at the top of their game by rotating a guy in at left tackle every couple of series. Remember, they were doing this last year at right guard with Morgan and Ryan, and then Morgan got hurt and was like, see ya. And then Ryan got to play the rest of the way out. So now it sounds like they're talking about maybe doing it again this year. But the thing that bothers me even more, well, it's competition. Okay, competition. You don't need to see Rasheed Walker for a competition. And that's the nonsense that they're talking about. Let's continue on.
That was my point because, Matt just asked Matt about left tackle and said it's an open competition. So if hypothetically Jordan Morgan doesn't beat out Rasheed, maybe you want to go stick him somewhere else so that therefore he's taking reps that he hasn't taken in quite a while.
Yeah, no, he takes those reps in practice, walkthroughs and things like that. And obviously last year played guard a lot. So, yeah, once it all kind of gets declared, then that's where we'll go and that's the direction we'll go. But right now it's still pretty open.
What have you thought of what Jordan's given you at left tackle the last week or so?
I've liked it, yeah. He's done a really good job. And that was the big thing, is just see how he goes out there and plays. He played against a really good DM yesterday and did a good job in Laitu. So, yeah, it was encouraging to see him out there, and, yeah, it was good to see.
Walker's missed some time recently with an injury, and then early on in camp when Elton wasn't here, Morgan was more inside. Has that made it more challenging to evaluate that competition?
Yeah, it definitely, when guys aren't out there playing, you can't get an evaluation, obviously. So we got to get Rashid out there, and we got to get him playing, and then we'll be able to see what we have.
That's crap. That's 1,000% utter crap. The follow-up to that should be, am I missing something, Coach? I mean, haven't you watched Rasheed Walker for the last several years? Like, you're not a new coach. This isn't the first time you've been here. Like, you didn't just come in here from Detroit to be the offensive coordinator. You were the offensive line coach at one point. You know who Rasheed Walker is. You shouldn't have to see Rasheed Walker practice to know how good Rasheed Walker is. Don't give me this line of malarkey about, well, we got to see Rasheed Walker practice to see if he's as good as Jordan Morgan. Man, stop. It's nonsense. Just making crap up. Because you know what's going to happen, don't you? They're going to name Jordan Morgan left tackle and say, hey, man, Rasheed Walker wasn't healthy. Morgan was, he was available more, so we're going with Morgan because he's played really well through preseason. And sorry, Rasheed, that we just screwed you. But we were trying to screw you starting last year, and we couldn't get the job done. So now that you were hurt, now we really could finish screwing you all the way around. That's exactly what is going on here. Don't tell me that you need to see Rasheed Walker. The man's been on this roster for several years at this point. Now, that is not me saying that Jordan Morgan hasn't played well. Jordan Morgan has played well. Here you go. This is from Alexander Basara. I think that's how you say his name. Jordan Morgan, stacking success at left tackle this preseason. 61 snaps, no pressures, no sacks, no hits, no hurries, no penalties. This is against starting defenders on the Jets and Colts, as pointed out by Basara. So, again, he's done his job. He's played well. But don't come at me with, you don't know what you have in Rasheed Walker. You have to see him practice. If it's a new coach and you got film and you don't know the cat, okay, I'll get down with that. Like if Ben Johnson's in Chicago and they got an open competition and he goes, hey, man, I got to see. I wasn't here. Like, I coached the offensive side of the ball. I wasn't looking at their left tackle last year to see what he looked like. And I can watch tape, but I want to see it up in person and see what this looks like. Then if I'm a media member, I'm going, all right, man, I get it. Makes sense. Sure. This is nonsense. This is just setting up Jordan Morgan. You're just setting him up for a reason to say, oh, nope, sorry. Came back from the groin. It wasn't the same. Came back from his injury. Wasn't the same guy. We're going to go with Jordan Morgan. Continuing on with Adam Stenavich, Packers OC.
What did you think of the offensive play calling yesterday?
He was a play caller.
Some ups and downs, like any game. But no, it was good. It was fun.
In all seriousness, how valuable, Matt's not going to give that up, but for you, how valuable is that to be able to do that every summer?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I enjoy it, and, it's just a cool thing, to be able to do, and I appreciate it when he lets me do that for sure.
I was going to ask you about that, too. Salvage, you want the offense to be successful, but are you also trying to give guys opportunities that maybe you wouldn't give them in a quote-unquote real game, but you want to go see?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, and kind of the most frustrating thing when you're calling a game and, like, in the first half when we had 8 or 9 penalties, your offense doesn't have a chance to get going, so it's harder to get these guys reps. You want to be able to see, how a quarterback responds on third down or how a running back can run the ball. But if you're always behind the sticks, it makes it very hard to evaluate people, which was better in the second half, obviously. We were able to do some things. But, it's definitely very important to just get evaluations of guys and see if they can win one-on-one matchups.
I'll say this. In the first half of that game, and we could talk about Belton's penalties and penalties in general, I never felt confident that game was going to get a bust-out big play from a running back. Because during that first half, before Marshawn Lloyd got hurt, Harlan and John Kuhn are talking about the idea of, hey, man, I just want to see this guy get in the – Kuhn kept saying it. I just want to see this guy get in the open field. Let's see what happens in the open field, make somebody miss, and then he's going to get going. You never really got that opportunity. You saw him like make one guy miss with a sidestep real quick. And as Kuhn pointed out, it wasn't a jump cut. He just kind of moved out of the way a little bit with a half a step, and the guy went flying by him. That was as much as you got to see. You still haven't seen the full package of Marshawn Lloyd at this point, which again, like we started the conversation, is what becomes so frustrating because he is more talented, again, if ever healthy, I think, than Wilson, more talented than Amar Johnson and Izzy and the rest of these running backs. But it's not going to matter if he can't stay on the field, Jack.
He showed me flashes for a little bit of what he did at USC and what you were excited about getting him.
And I heard college
I know,
guys
you're right.
that watched the draft talking about Reggie Bush and that he showed you shines of a little Reggie Bush in him. Not that he is Reggie Bush, but that you could see kind of the signs of a little Reggie Bush maybe.
There was some speed. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. Like you said, there was some wiggle to him. Nice to add that to Josh Jacobs.
Right. That's exactly what you want to add to Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs has more wiggle than anything anybody realized prior to him getting here last year. He's got a little more shake to him than we thought, I think, as Packer fans coming into this thing. But again, that other style of back that can be that complement, right? That thunder to that lightning, right? They don't have lightning right now. They got some pop, some thunder, but they don't got the quick, shifty, get out there and go on to the house running back. They can turn a 5-yard catch into 90 in a hurry, right? You don't have that guy anymore, and that's something that I think the Packers were hoping Marshawn Lloyd could be a little bit of at this point. But again, can't stay healthy, can't stay on the field. Now, having said that, you lose him to a hamstring injury, and then what else happens? Savion Williams with a hamstring injury too. I don't know how many years it's been where this Packers team has been dealing with hamstring issues, going all the way back to like Clay Matthews. We have had hamstring issues forever. And when we talk about hamstring issues, to me, that goes back to the training staff, right? That goes back to strength and conditioning and so forth of getting these guys trained up the right way. Watson was so bad, they sent his butt over to UW-Madison to try and get it figured out. That worked, and then he got hurt a different way. But that is, to me, when you're a fan, that's frustrating. When I see hamstring injuries consistently or calf issues because you're not stretching or whatever, and again, I'm not an expert in this field or whatever else, but that kind of sucks because hamstring issues, as you know and I know, those can flare up at any time, right? You have a tight hammy, okay, I'm good. Then you go back out, then all of a sudden, boom, you tear it, and now you're done. You have to be very, very careful with hamstrings.
When I tore my ACL playing pickup intramural football, the doctor, who was a family friend, was one of the doctors on RG3's knee, and he told me a lot of ACL injuries have to deal with like issues in your hamstring and stabilizing muscles on that knee. So that might have led to Christian Watson tearing the ACL.
Yeah, good point. I've not heard anybody else say that, but that is obviously a valid point if that's what the case is. And listen, the Packers aren't the only team around the National Football League that have issues with injuries, that have issues with hamstrings and so forth. So I don't want it to make it sound like the Packers are the only ones going through these types of situations with their players, because they're not. But still, at some point, you'd like to see them stay a little bit more healthy. Now, we're going to talk more about this with our guy Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press-Gazette. He'll join us coming up at 3:20 today. Looking forward to talking to Ryan at 3:20. Also coming up on the other side, I want to talk a little bit about this idea of expanding postseasons, right? I want to talk about the idea about college football possibly expanding their postseason to even more than 12 games, to double the size of the 12 games. We'll do that coming up next. Ryan Wood at 3:20. Normally, it's Charlie's Sounds of the Day at 3:40, brought to you by Prize Picks. Today, Jack Pembroke will take his turn at the Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Now, the last time you were in here, Jack Pembroke, you gave me a bunch of stuff from out yonder that normally we would never talk about on this show.
I apologize.
I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. That's what makes it fun. I don't know what you're going to bring every time. So today's it more football, baseball type stuff, or are you off in La La Land?
No, we'll have some football and baseball. We might have a random soundbite.
A random soundbite, right? Yeah, because You never know what you're getting with Jack. So, all right, very good. So we'll see what happens there. Brewers still up 2-0, top of 6 at Wrigley. When that game is done, we'll do a little post-game as well. So Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer with you.